Here's another question.
we'll give them a very, very special kiss for you, Herb. And
Okay.
also, I'll say this: you're so right in that, like, failure does all the things that pushes humanity to be the best version of themselves. You know,
Yes.
it becomes more of a you're humbled. You've got to suit up. You recognize your humanity. Success is the one that's really frightful. That's the one that you've got to watch out for the potholes of ego, or
Yes.
you know, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And so you're spot on in saying it gets harder. It's not
harder.
easier when there's success. But excuse me, you were going to say.
That's a good way to put it. You know, well, and look, one of the things that we've always tried to do is every time we work on a new project, we want to work with usually at least one new key collaborator, because I think it helps keep things fresh. It helps keep things a little bit like, you know, what are some tricks that they've discovered that we haven't? But Joel and I are in the past have been fairly notorious for a pretty small group of writers, a pretty small group of collaborators. And because part of that is, I mean, look, you're never going to be right all the time, and you need to have people that can tell you you're wrong.
Right.
And they need, and the only way that you really listen to the people, if they're telling you that you're wrong, is if you've got relationship with them. And so, this round has been interesting. Ted T and Josh Kerr have kind of co-produced basically the whole album bar one song. And there's been a nice tension there because, you know, Josh Kerr's comes from the country world, comes from a little bit more of the writing side of things. And Ted comes from kind of, you know, he's been around doing it for a long time, but he's also known us since we were young boys, which is kind of cool. But also there's you know, there's a tension of knowing there, you know, also like, you know, Kerr may push for something and he may go, yeah, that's cool, but not that cool, or vice versa. Or he goes, I would never have done this, but he came up with something that I think is brilliant. But, you know, our collaborations this way around have been, okay, what does it mean to be pushed with the writing? And so we have worked with the Taylor Parks. We have worked with, you know, a lot of different writers out in LA to see what it looks like to, you know, get in the room with different folks that, you know, we just wrote a song with Michael Pollack not too long ago, actually over Zoom, which I think was our only successful Zoom, right? But, you know, there's been people that have pushed us this time around. And so we do bring out producers quite a lot onto the road. I think that's happening actually next week. And, you know, a lot of times it's just this pretty simple rig. I mean, it's an Apollo, and Ted prefers Logic, though we've pushed him into, you know, Pro Tools a little bit more this time around. That's because that's Joel's a little bit more Joel's domain. And there's something about the tension of the road where you don't have all the mics, you don't have all the outboard gear. You may only want to, you know, this record, for a lot of it, we've recorded most of the demos on SM7s, and we now have vocals that are lasting. You know, that we otherwise would never, you know, we wouldn't have had, because you would just jump, you grab something tiny that's not quality. So it's been you know, I think for Key and Country, there are some rules, but we're going to break the rules, and we're going to come back and do some different things to mess with the process, and hopefully you create fresher sounds that way.
No, he actually, not only that, Dave, very early on in our career, before we'd even released a record, we wrote with him. And then obviously Amen coming about, and that song, I remember the first time he heard, we had a rough version of it, and we were just playing him stuff. We were going to work on something new, and we played him sort of a sketch of what Amen was, and he was like, no. You know how Busby was, he always had a sense of the songs, like, well, no, let's do that. And it's been really sweet to see. We released it to radio this year, partly in honor of him and his wife and family, and just kind of preposterously, a month or so ago, Luke, it went number one. And so we're performing it at a benefit in Nashville for him and family this fall at Bridgestone Arena. And so he and family have been very close to our hearts, and we're very thankful for that little creative piece that will live on past all of us, you know, that we got to kind of you know, pen and write with him.